that going here. First, I appreciate everybody staying. It's been a long day so far. We still have a little bit to go, so I appreciate everybody's patience in this. So next up, we're going to have the Imam of the Masjid, Brother Ismael Saleem. He's going to come up and give the history, the story of the children of Abraham. So I won't do any of my quick little side stories for the sake of time, so I bring up Brother Ismael Saleem.
All right. Brother told me I was Mr. Rogers. I changed uniforms so many times. So let me get a. Is this mic on?
No, how far? It's echoing out there. I'm
okay.
Out of here.
All right. I want to talk about Black history, real Black history, authentic Black history. As the Imam, I can't leave without making sure you're all aware of Black history. Black history is the history of everybody, of humanity. So I want to make sure that was clear. Before I came here, my son was watching Aladdin, and he said, everybody on Aladdin is Black. And he said his older brother told him that. And I said, so I asked his older brother, he said, no, I didn't say everybody was Black, I said everybody was Muslim. So my youngest son here was equating Blackness with Islam. And I thought that was pretty interesting, that he was thinking that way, because in my household, we always talk about Islam, and we always talk about African American people, about Black people, period. So I wanted to make sure this is clear, this is dedicated to him, so he'll know and understand. I'm gonna try to be as concise as possible. And I have a couple of slides, I have a couple of books I wanted to show you all to recommend to you. So, personally speaking, when it gets hot outside, I was in Mali for 2 weeks and it was 105 degrees. My skin complexion got darker just for those 2 weeks. During wintertime, there's less sunlight, I get a little bit lighter. So I want to talk to you all about the relationship between the sun and skin color, skin complexion. There's an anthropologist named Nina Gabelson. She said there is a conspicuous geographical pattern between skin color and distance from the equator. So that's why I have the equator on here, and the sun is tilted towards the sun. And in the middle of the earth is the equator. Right, and the people that are on that equator are darker skinned than the people who are further away from it. So she is talking about the distinction between the two. And she says humans living near the equator develop darker skin tones, while those in northern climates develop lighter hues. So the further you get away from the equator, the lighter you get. And scientists have said that human beings come from Africa, probably Eastern Africa. People say around about maybe Ethiopia. And the father of humanity is Adam. We call him Adam. And here is a picture of National Geographic's Adam. In the Quranic dictionary, in the Quran, our holy book, Adam means dark brown man. So the father of all humanity was a dark brown man, what we would call a black man, right? Adam also means to reconcile, to be dark brown, to have human skin, to be a human being, to be a person, to be an intelligent person, to be a brave person, to be a civilized man, to be an honest person, to be kind and polite. Now, Adam, I think I have it up top here, means dark brown. There's other colors because there's other hues in our complexions. As you see here, some people are lighter and darker than others. Light brown is Asmar. That's what a light brown person is. But dark brown is Adam, right? And his wife, Eve, or Hawa, means a dark-skinned woman. So we got a dark brown man and a dark brown woman created all the people here. All the people on this planet. And the Quran, our holy book, says that Adam was made from black clay, Hamaim, black mud. So if you fashion somebody from black mud, then they would have black skin. We're talking about complexion here. Now the title of this is about the children of Abraham. And we see Abraham as a prophet. So what I wanted to do is go from Adam and Eve, Noah, who are dark-skinned people, dark brown man, dark brown woman, and then go down to Noah. Noah had 3 sons. They are characterized for being the progenitors, being the forefathers of the Negroid, the Mongoloid, and the Caucasoid people. And I have listed here who they are. Shem is the Mongoloid, right? So that's what we maybe consider Asian. Japheth was the Caucasoid or white people. And Ham is the Negroid people, the dark-skinned people, right? So Ham had a son, and Ham was black, obviously, because he is the father of all black people, right? So that's not in contention whatsoever, right? He fathered all the people from Africa. That's not in contention. But let me tell you here, Ham also was the father of Canaan. Canaan is the name of the place that is in dispute currently. That's why I'm dressed the way I am. Before it was Israel or Palestine, it was called Canaan. So this black man here was the father of Canaan. He's also the father of Cush. Cush is not only Ethiopia, but we'll also discover part of Arabia. We'll go into that a little bit later. And Mizraim, which is Egypt, Kemet. Father of these people was black. And Put, which is Libya currently. So Canaan encompasses Israel or Palestine. It encompasses Lebanon, Jordan, and Syria. So the first people inhabiting these places were black people. What would we call black people? Dark brown skinned people. And Cush obviously is Ethiopia. Cush literally means the land of the burnt faces. You see, in English, in our speaking, we don't necessarily put descriptions with names. We just name people whatever. Somebody named John, some people named Calvin, some people named Sam. But they mean something. They're a description of something. So Cush means the land of the burnt-faced people. Right? So they were very, very dark-skinned in this land of Ethiopia, and as I said, also Arabia. And Put was doing trade with Ethiopia. And in Ethiopia, in Egypt, they had the land, and it was called the land of the god, which denotes the monotheism in their belief system. So Mizraim here, Egypt, is the Hebrew or the Aramaic name for Egypt. As we know, Kemet means land of the blacks, right? So I'm saying this, hopefully you're gathering this information here that they are describing the people that live on this land. If you notice, the people who are living there now don't look the same way as they look as I'm talking about now. So the people who are inhabiting the place right now are different from the people who originated there. We'll get into that a little bit. So apparently, there was a controversy about the color of the people living in Egypt or in Kemet. And I have a plethora of documentation to prove that they were dark-skinned people. And I'll just give you a couple of quotes from scholars. You are quite right about the African origin of Egyptians. I have 100 human skulls to prove it. Another scientist says in their complex, and many of their complexions, and in their physical particularities, the Egyptians were an African race. Another scientist says the Egyptians face-to-face described them as black-skinned with woolly hair. And on and on and on. The Egyptians were true Negroids of the same type as all natives of Africa. It says that being so, we can see how their blood mixed several centuries later with the Romans and Greeks who were white people, right? So that's how they started to changing their complexion. And we see here another scientist saying, What is the subject for mediation? Just think that the race of black men today were slaves, but they were initially the people that we got arts and science and the actual speech from, right? So Ham and all of his sons were black, right? And we can deduce from this that if he's black, we can deduce his father was black. Because from black or brown comes black or brown, right? So Noah must have been black or brown, which also means Shem and Japheth were black or brown. So they were the first progenitors of all the people on this earth. And even in the Bible, it says the proximity to the Garden of Eden, where Adam was created, was Ethiopia, around the proximity of Cush. And there was a Chinese scientist named Jin Li, who thought that Chinese people came from someone different than everybody else. They thought they were special people. And they did the genealogy, they did the testing, and found out, no, everybody came from Eastern Africa. It is quite impossible for two white people to create everybody and populate the entire world with all these different complexions. And in the Bible, because we talk about the religious scriptures, and I'm talking about the religious scriptures, it says, can an Ethiopian change his skin or a leopard change his spots? Meaning that's how dark-skinned that they were. That a leopard can't change his spots. Now Japheth is the forefathers of the European people. And Shem is the forefathers of the Arabs, of the Hebrews, of the Syriac people, of the Samaritans, and the Assyrians. They are a Semitic people. We must bear in mind that both Shem and Japheth were black. Noah, their father, was also black. So he was black or brown as well, and he produced black or brown people. And they are the foreparents of all the Europeans, all the Asians, all the Arabs, everyone. It does not negate this fact at all. It reinforces the fact that the dominant gene can produce recessive genes, and the environment and people's diet and climate change their complexion. So when they left from the equator, going up into Europe and going down, leaving the equator, they got lighter and lighter until they became white people. Now I'm going to give you a picture of some of the first people, one of the first persons that was in in Europe, I'm sorry, called Cheddar Man. This is European. He got blue eyes though, you see. But this is one of the first Europeans. So people migrated from Africa and went all over the world. That's the first people in Europe, the first Europeans, the first people that were Japanese, the first people that were Arabs, the first people that were in America were black and brown people. First people everywhere. We are actually the only people that are indigenous to everywhere. We are really the indigenous people. But back to Noah and his son Shem. Shem after he had a couple of different grandsons, and then he had a man named Terah, and Terah was the father of Abraham. And Abraham was black or brown as well because he's coming from the same lineage here. Now, according to the Bible, his half-sister was Sarah. They were Hebrew, so they were also black or brown coming from this same lineage. And then they had a son named Isaac. And you'll see Isaac here. And his son was Jacob. His name was changed to Israel. From that you get the 12 children of Israel. Right? What is called Israel today is literally, literally connected to Africa. The only thing that is separating them is the Suez Canal, which is a man-made canal. So they are literally connected, right? And through people traveling, the people traveled out of Africa. They said they traveled out of Africa right into Saudi Arabia. So those African people traveled out and they were still of dark skin complexion. They're still on this equator. And I want to show you this picture. It's because borders were created that were created arbitrarily. But all of this you see here is Africa. So Saudi Arabia, what is called Saudi Arabia now, Palestine, Syria, Jordan, it's all Africa. They named it the Middle East, but what exactly is the Middle East or the Middle West or what have you? They're all connected to this landmass that we know as Africa. And as I said, the Suez Canal is the only thing separated. So all these people were close to the equator and they were black or brown. Now Isaac was also black, mainly because he lived in a region 4,000 years ago that was on the same region as Africa. And he had his name changed and he had 12 sons, and one of his sons' names was Joseph or Yusuf. And Yusuf was sold into slavery in Egypt, which we have already discussed, black people. And he rose to a high position in Egypt. And his own blood brothers did not recognize him. They thought he was Egyptian because he was the same complexion as the people living in Egypt. So the people from the children of Israel were in the same proximity, the same place with the Egyptians, and his own brothers didn't know who he was. Because they all looked alike, like we're looking alike here. Right? So that means the children of Israel, 12 of them, one of them was Joseph, was the same complexion as these people right here. So all the way down to here is still black people, right? Still black or brown. So his 12 brothers, the 11 of them, are also black or brown. And Abraham is said to be the father of the Midianite people. Moses, who was of these children of Israel, because I want to list them. I want you to know that David, Moses, Solomon, Jesus, John the Baptist, Mary, all the people in the whole Bible here are black or brown, right? All these people that we love and we adore and that we name ourselves after, all were black or brown. Abraham had a wife named Keturah. She is the mother of the Midianite people. Let me just show you what Midia. Find it. Midia, if you see that right there, that's the edge of Saudi Arabia, right? So Moses' wife was said to be a Midianite and a Cushite because they combined the two. So the river in between the Red Sea, there was really no disconnect between those people. From one end to the next, they all were African people. And there was a prophet named Shuaib. He was also considered an Arab. We might consider him an Arab today, but he was also black or brown. And Moses was considered to be tall and Adam, the complexion of Adam. So when we say Adam, we mean the complexion, dark skin. He was dark skinned, tall, and apparently he was a very strong brother.